involved in. So it's 4 competitions for them to sort of manage. But look, I think he's trying to
this weekend against Ballester Calsa, so that's something I'm sure they will bear in mind somewhere in their calculations as this game progresses. But certainly both teams looking to get that second win under their belt and really give them a terrific head start to this AFC Cup campaign. Remember, only the top side automatically qualifies for that knockout round, and you have to be the best placed runner-up to go into those rounds as well. As we have the countdown here, and it's the hosts in yellow. It's a ghostly atmosphere here at the Rizal Stadium. Seem to hesitate a little bit. That shot just flies over. Oh, bright beginning here from Kaya.
Good start from them, and a bit of a mistake there in defense from Tampines. Clearly, if you've been watching them this season, and in fact, if you've been keeping an eye out on Tampines, if you know your football and what they're doing, you can see Madhu Ohana quite
one of the most impressive players in last year's Singapore Premier League, and a fine replacement for Shadan Sulaiman.
excellent replacement, and quite possibly even just slightly better than Shadan in terms of his mobility and the ability to carry the ball forward through the lines from deeper positions. Be that pressure point, but just have a look at that, him again changing that angle of attack. It's a player that's very difficult for the opposition to sort of press. Very composed on the ball. He's got his body shape and positions. Spot. He was a constant outlet for Kaya down the right hand side. They were always looking to try and feed the ball out to him.
Now John Webb is getting a little bit irritated by this, and we saw that in the last game. He gets a lot of attention because of just the way he plays his football.
Yeah, you know, he's not afraid to take defenders on. As he releases Irwan Shah here, Paris as well. Webb, which is a part of his game.
We were saying that's a fine line, isn't there?
I just remember that first game against PSM where he was constantly in the ear of the referee. And you want to be careful in those situations because they can get quite frustrated with you, constantly on top of them.
Not even see a little bit further forward. It's almost like a quarterback, isn't he?
Yeah, no, I like him in there. In good defensive shape, and they force Yase just to go backwards. Gives them a chance to get themselves reorganized now.
Nervy moments off that free kick up towards Kapitovic.
Good pressure there by Madhu. Wants to employ with his Tampines side, and I think he feels a need to get him into those areas to release maybe Jordan Webb down the left or Yasser down the left. It gives them an extra player in the central area as well. They help them to control things in those positions.
Petrovic out on that right-hand side. He's got Yasser in the box. Ball over the top here, but easily dealt with by Shahrul. It isn't the biggest central defensive pairing you'll see around, Shahrul Sazali and Amarul Adli. This is a new pairing as well. Shahrul coming across from Young Lions. Dan Bennett, of course, has been a long-serving member of Singapore football in general, really. Of course, Madu Mohana can play centre-back too, if required. Yasser.
Yeah, they do have some versatility in terms of you mentioned Madu Mohana being able to play in central defence, play at right back. And
where do you prefer him?
Well, obviously at right back, Madu Mohana, but it helps that he can play in the centre of defence. Shahrul Sazali as well can play out at left back, can play at left wing back. We've seen him do that.
Yeah, it gives you options, doesn't it? And of course, sometimes when you're a utility player, or you can play in a couple of those positions, there is that concern. Are you a specialist? Are you good enough to play in one position? Here's Kapetovic. It does seem like, for example, you've talked about Madu Mohana. He's basically been a right back for the last couple of seasons, hasn't he?
Yeah, and again, it's about learning these sort of new roles that are required of you. You know, previously he had Megumi in front of him, who would do a lot of work in those attacking positions. Wonderful engine, great work rate, and Madu could perhaps focus a little bit more on providing that support from behind. Didn't have to get into advanced positions as much, so could focus on doing a little bit more work defensively. But he's had to adapt, had to adjust to a different sort of role here this season with this system that Tampines are employing.
And as we talked about, is that where he changes things round with Shah Shahiran. Here is Yasser Hanapi. Jordan Webb on this left-hand side just slips that. Oh, that seemed to have gone out for Irwan Shah. And he's maybe just clattered into the advertising boards. Mitchell does signal to the referee. His right arm. We'll have another look at this.
Just the underlapping run from Irwan there. Yeah, I think it's...
Actually, it wasn't the advertising board, was it? It was...
He had a couple of long balls over the top. Jordan Webb getting in behind.
Well, it's interesting because the last game that we worked on with Tampines Rovers was the PSM game, where they were the far better side, weren't they, against a very poor PSM. As Mehmedovic comes forward here, finds Jordan Webb out on the left. Slips it in. Irwan Shah didn't have much time. Not much of a backlift. Mitchell in the way.
Again, on this occasion, Jordan Webb, they played through central midfield really well. Mehmedovic carries it forward against that run on the inside from Irwan. Gets blocked away by Mitchell there. They seem to be really growing into this game now, Tampines, after that intense start by Kaya. And just the Kaya defense perhaps a little bit more wary now of the possibility of Tampines playing a longer ball over the top. They've dropped off as a team.
Mitchell there first. Mehmedovic on a clean shot.
It's the Tactical foul by Mehmedovic. Immediately what he was doing there. Didn't have a chance to win the ball. This goes into the back of Horikoshi.
Here's Mehmedovic. Madi Mohana. Much better few minutes here for Tampines Rovers after a bit of a shaky start. So far more the ball now. On Mehmedovic. Horikoshi wasn't too impressed with that.
Oh, a lovely touch there. Mehmedovic just to take the ball under control.
Here's Yasser Hanapi, done well. Ball races away from him. There's not much give, is there, on these kind of surfaces?
Against an attack down the left-hand side for Tampines Rovers.
All their best moves have come down there, haven't they?
Yeah, and it's no real surprise for me there. Yoshide on the touchline. A couple of words with his players. I think we're going to see similar sort of numbers in terms of the attacking areas that Tampines are using. I mentioned earlier, 47% of the attacks down the left-hand side against PSM Makassar. You can understand it with Jordan Webb in that position, using the movements of Irwan, and at times Yase getting himself involved there.
Come in field now, Jordan Webb. Shashai runs free on that right-hand side, and now is being used. Corner here for Tampines Rovers. Nakamura, furthest advanced we've seen him so far. Makes a bit of movement. Jordan Webb. Shai Run was advancing to the ball. Amr Ladley. Needs to be a better cross, really. Sharul. Shah. Yasser. Now Nakamura. Done well here, Mehmedovic. Oh, why didn't he go for goal?
Well, he had two players making sort of similar runs time around as well, but he does have
no, Irwan Shah. Mehmedovic unable to get a touch on that. Nakamura trying to press that.
It's a bit of a hurried pass there from Jason Pane.
Chase there. Little battle developing. Horikoshi versus Irwan and sometimes Sharul.
It looked like he had the pace there just to get ahead of Irwan. Won well in midfield by Omura. Free deciding there was nothing in that challenge from Irwan Shah there. Okay, and just being patient. the runs ahead of him, then you look for that longer ball over the top. Otherwise, quite happy to do this, aren't they, Tampines?
But this is very
it's
standard,
trademark.
isn't it?
It's pretty standard from Tampines Rovers.
Forward there from Adi Mohana, looking for Kapitovic, who hasn't really had too much to work with so far. Rota.
Well, that was actually a good possible opening for Tampines Rovers there. Went out over to Kapitovic. Shah actually won the second ball, and there were spaces in midfield for Tampines to exploit. Yase and Mehmedovic were in those areas. It needed to be a better ball from Shah. It needed to be quicker on the turf there. Gave Mehmedovic a little bit too much to do, and there was a heavy first touch, and then that opening goes away.
Jordan Webb does well. Here's Ilwan Shah. Those two again have combined pretty well. Got past his man, Ursato. No one really up there with him. Shahrul still trying to keep a close eye on him.
That's excellent defending by Shahrul. Brilliant in the 1v1 there. Tracks his man all the way. This is a mistake initially, but gets himself back into a really good position. Gets his eyes on the ball, gets his body in the way. As Jordan Webb goes down again. And he seems to be having a word with the referee. Soriano doesn't seem to be too happy with Jordan Webb going to ground there.
Half an hour gone, Roshan. What do you make of this game so far?
I think Tampines took some time to perhaps get adjusted to the pace that Kaya were trying to impose on the game. And then as Kaya started to drop off, Tampines were able to show their quality a little bit more. Had some good opportunities with the longer balls played in behind to Jordan Webb. Perhaps should have tested the keeper. And then a little bit better with his chance, with his opportunity. But Tampines seemed to be in control of this match. Passing possession here, it's 72% possession for Tampines Rovers. Winning most of the duels.
Kapitovic. Now Shah. Tampines credit as he's dispossessed by Mehmedovic, that they kept Horikoshi relatively quiet so far. Hasn't really done that much, has he?
Yeah. But again, they're quick to just get numbers back as well, Tampines Rovers.
Well, for all that possession, and really created enough opportunities. Neither side has really created enough opportunities.
I don't remember, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember Shah's.
Well, the other day, Roshan, if Tampines come away with a point, I think they'll be relatively happy with that, won't they?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's always that cliche, isn't there, about you win your home matches and you pick up a point away from home.
Yeah. I mean, it's clear that this is a three-horse race for that top spot, and of course to try and get the second best place, with all due respect to Shan United. PSM Makassar, Tampines and Kaya would be the 3 teams, and Tampines have already disposed of PSM at home, albeit at home. Kaya have got points at the expense of Shan. So I mean, this is a key game really, because you've got to get the points off your other 2 big rivals, and they get something here away from home. It's a big plus for them. But Kaya, conversely, no, they really should or ought to try and get those 3 points.
Yeah, you'd like to see them, you know, show a little bit more invention in those attacking areas.
Well, they will not get to that.
There's not too much of a concern with them defensively. You know, we've seen the ability to keep a clean sheet on match day 1. We know they can get compacted.
Horikoshi clears.
It's just whether they can sort of do enough to trouble teams. And I know you might say, yeah, well, they scored 2 goals against Shan, but really it looked like that game was headed for a draw, and then you had a mistake from Jawa conceding a penalty that gave Kaya that opportunity to get the first goal, and then as it opens up, a second goal on the counter-attack. I think going away to Shan is going to be very difficult for these sides. It's going to be a big challenge, you know, with the kickoff times over there.
Yeah, that's never easy, is it?
Playing that heat, playing those conditions.
I mean, it's the host's prerogative, their choice.
And I think Kaya,
whatever handicap there may be, that kind of little bit of a leveler. Here's Webb, now to Nakamura. A little bit of space to play with. Glides past one, and it's an ugly challenge from his countryman. Might he get a card there? The referee thought about it. Omura. It's got to be a card, surely. He's yanked him back in front right in front of the referee.
Yeah, I saw the referee reaching for his pocket there. It's got to be a caution. Stopping a promising attack there. I think he's definitely got himself in the book there. Omura.
Did he need to do that?
Well, the first time we've really seen Nakamura burst forward through midfield. There's an opening there for Tampines. You just look at Kaya when they're organised defensively there. 2 banks of 4. Very difficult, very compact in between the lines. So that defensive aspect of Kaya's game, I've been impressed by it. It's not been an issue for me. It's what they do when they get the ball.
Yeah, don't think they've been in really too much trouble when Tampines come at them. Shah gives that away. Here's Uesato. Bedic. Pane. Crowd now just trying to pick things up here. We're into the final 7 minutes of this first half. And it breaks down very, very quickly.
Well, again, it's just frustrating from an attacking point of view. If you're a Kaya FC fan, potentially looked like an encouraging build-up there. Just fizzles out.
Webb to Yasser. Return ball, Jordan Webb won't get to it, and Soriano does what he can.
And he gets the support from Mitchell as well, coming across, doing his job, clearing the danger. And just Kopitovic in the box to aim for that. Tampines, I think, making the clever decision just to reset.
Mehmedovic slips that through to Jordan Webb. Yasser Hanapi out wide. Good ball through. Here's Uesato. Looks around. We had to wait for reinforcements. And eventually, they get a ball through. Nomura was in a good position there. Just seemed to stop for a second.
Yeah, it was a strange one because he was already in such a good position, and Uesato didn't seem to see him early on.
I thought there might have been an injury because they just didn't know what to do with the ball. Everyone just paused. Interesting.
Well, anyway, went out to him eventually.
It did.
And Shah, to his credit, from midfield tracking back and clearing the ball.
Yasser Hanapi needed a better ball from him.
That pass from Nakamura into Yasser Hanapi was superb. He's just taken out that entire midfield line of Kaya, and you've got the Yasser in that advanced position in behind Kaya's midfield there.
Oh, he's taking a shot from a cute angle there. It wasn't all that far away. Kopitovic.
Well, the problem in these situations for Tampines is it's good approach play. They get it into Kopitovic. It's a lovely pass from Shah into Kopitovic, but he's not got any support arriving in the box. So he's a little bit isolated at times. Perhaps could have held it up, maybe waited for that support to arrive. Well, he's been feeling a little bit bored.
I was going to say, if that's what the kind of chances both sides are resorting to, particularly Tampines at the moment, well, neither keeper's really being tested, then that will suit the defences. Oh, lovely dummy here by Yasser Hanapi. Kopitovic on his own, though.
Well, what they've been very good at doing, Tampines, is playing these passes through the lines very well. These straight passes through the line, not sideways and backwards. It's going right the way through the heart of Kaya's defensive shape. But once again, have a look at that.
As if to illustrate Roshan's point vividly. But it's what happens after that, Roshan. Yeah. That's the problem as far as Tampines are concerned, and where Kaya have been pretty good so far.
Yeah, they have. I think as the passes go through the midfield lines, the defense has been quite good at making sure they're closing down the player that receives it. There we go.
Case in point, isn't it? You should be an analyst, Roshan. Here's Mehmedovic, one of those who has been trading in those sort of passes, along with Nakamura. Now Horikoshi giving the ball away. And they've nullified that threat, Tampines.
Well, they've got to take action here, Tampines. Possession at 72%. It's now dropped to 71.9. Terrible.
It's crisis time. Like we say, it doesn't matter how much the ball you have, it's what you do with it. And they're not able to really convert that into opportunities. Have they got into enough shooting positions for you? Have they got into the penalty area enough?
No, they haven't really. I mean, the best opportunities have come from along the balls in behind, yes. Yeah. But I think what's encouraging is, well, they've shown good intensity there to try and win the ball back high up the pitch. But what's encouraging on the ball is, again, as I mentioned, they're finding those passes through Kaya's midfield quite easily. It's what happens after that, how they progress the attack in those areas.
For a second there, just a reaction from Yasser. I thought he might have got a red just from this sheer.
It was
nothing to do with him, and it was actually Nakamura. I think he's taken one for the. Has he taken one for the team here, and got a yellow card? Now, yesterday we had a similar situation, Tampines Rovers, where Hafiz Sujad took the yellow card first. But it wasn't actually him who should have been booked, and the referee, it was later changed, put it that way. Bedic did not enjoy that. I'm just wondering if there's been a card given at all. It's an interesting one. Roshan, because when it's a case of mistaken identity, as a former player, do you guys go, well, it wasn't me, it was him? You don't point out your teammate, do you? Do you just...
Depends on how important the other player is.
If he should fall on his sword and you look at him, okay, just the 1 minute. But yeah, I mean, what's the general? I mean, what goes on behind changes when that kind of situation happens? Are you told to?
No, I don't think.
You just take it.
Yeah, you'd have a word with the referee, say it's not me, right? You know, you want him to.
But you don't point out the other guy.
I don't think you necessarily would.
Also depends on who's more likely to get another yellow card. If I was Yasser, I would fight like hell to do that because he's likely to get one at some point. Overlapping run. Easily dealt with by Amrul Adli. Just a few seconds left of this first half, and Roshan, give us your assessment of it.
I think you can be pretty pleased if you're Tampines Rovers, you know, bossing the game here, pretty much in control. Kaya not really threatening. Yes, Kaya have been good defensively, but they're the home side. You want to see a little bit more from them in attack, and I think in that aspect of the game, if you're Kaya's coach, then that's something you're going to try and address in the second half, because you will have to take a few more risks to try and get a result in this game. For Tampines Rovers, just a few things to adjust in terms of the sharpness of the movement, the precision. Once